Hey guys. Tonight, we're not just looking up, we're falling inward. The Milky Way is above you right now, even if you can't see it through the city haze. It's not a picture in a book, or a screensaver, or something far away. It's the home you were born inside, the river of stars, flowing through the darkness, wrapping you in its quiet current. Close your eyes. Imagine you're lying somewhere silent, far from everything, a field, maybe, or a rooftop. You can feel the earth turning slowly under your body. The air is still, the night is vast, and above you, the sky is breathing deep and slow. That faint band of light stretching across the heavens, that's the Milky Way. But it isn't a flat stripe, or a cluster of clouds. It's the side view of a colossal spiral, a pinwheel of hundreds of billions of suns, seen from within its own arms. You're not looking at the galaxy from the outside. You're inside it, like a fish trying to imagine the shape of the ocean. If you could see through the dark, you'd realize that every sparkle, every dot of light is a sun. Some have planets, some have storms, some have songs of their own. Every one of them burns for reasons older than memory. You might think the sky is quiet, but it isn't. It's full of motion, full of time, full of stories too large to fit inside a single night. The ancient ones looked up and called it the Milky Way, a spill of milk from the goddess Hera, or the dust of creation scattered across heaven. In truth, it's both myth and map. What you see as a streak of light is the dense heart of our own spiral galaxy, so vast it takes light 100,000 years to cross it from edge to edge. 100,000 years just for a single ray of light. That's longer than all of human history, multiplied by 5. Every point in that river holds a sun with its own history. Young ones blazing, old ones dying, invisible ones waiting to be found. Between them drifts, a cosmic mist, gas, dust, magnetism, all whispering together in a language too slow for our ears. You are looking at an orchestra frozen mid-note. And yet, as familiar as it looks, we've never seen the Milky Way from the outside. We can't. We live inside it, orbiting its center every 230 million years. So everything we know about its shape, its arms, its heart we've had to infer by listening, not seeing. Like a blind sailor mapping an ocean by sound. Imagine standing on a shore made of time, listening to waves that take millennia to reach you. That's what astronomers do when they study our galaxy. They read its light radio waves, X-rays, infrared, and through those invisible vibrations, they reconstruct its body, its pulse, its hidden skeleton of stars. If you could rise above it all, if you could somehow escape to the edge of the halo and look back, you'd see a swirling disk of silver and shadow, a living spiral turning through black velvet. You'd see the sun as a single grain of light, and the Earth as a smaller grain orbiting it. You'd realize the miracle of perspective, that everything we've ever done, every breath, every dream, every song, has unfolded inside one small arm of this great galactic wheel. And yet, even knowing that, there's peace in it. Because this vastness doesn't make you smaller, it makes you part of something timeless. The galaxy doesn't rush, it doesn't shout. It turns in silence, steady as breath. The same light that shines on you tonight shone on the first humans who ever looked up, and it will shine on the last. As you listen, let your thoughts slow until they move at the speed of stars. Let the noise of the day dissolve into the quiet hum of cosmic time. You're not falling asleep away from the world, you're falling asleep into it. Into the same ancient current that carries planets, moons, and dreams alike. So tonight, when you close your eyes, remember, the Milky Way is not out there. You are inside it, floating, turning, glowing softly with every heartbeat of the sky. And the river keeps flowing, endlessly, through the night. If you could rise above the Milky Way high enough to see it whole, you might expect to find symmetry. Spirals, arms, a glowing heart, neat and ordered. But nature never draws straight lines, and the galaxy you live inside is far messier, more alive than any textbook diagram. We call it a barred spiral, which sounds simple enough, a central bridge of stars with long, curling arms that unfurl like petals in slow motion. But that's only an approximation. In truth, it's a sea of movement, a billion gravitational conversations happening all at once. The Milky Way doesn't stand still. It ripples, flexes, and breathes. Stars orbit in layers, drifting like leaves caught in invisible currents. Clouds of dust shimmer between them, forming filaments that stretch for hundreds of light years. Even the arms aren't fixed, they're waves of density, patterns in motion. A spiral isn't something drawn, it's something happening. And yet, we've never truly seen this. Every photo you've ever admired of the Milky Way from above, from afar, is a composite, a dream drawn from data. We live too deep within the disk to step back and take its portrait. Imagine standing inside a forest, so vast, you can only glimpse the next few trees. You can sense the shape of the woods, but never see it whole. That's us, tiny wanderers on one of the spiral arms, trying to imagine the forest we call home. The arm we live in is known as the Orion Spur, a minor branch between the larger Sagittarius and Perseus arms. It's not even one of the grand structures, just a side path, a quieter neighborhood. Yet here, in this overlooked corner of the galaxy, a star happened to burn with the right balance of warmth and distance to cradle a planet with oceans and lungs. From this small outpost, the universe looks endless. If you could follow the Orion Spur inward, you'd drift toward the blazing center, toward a crowded domain where stars swarm thick as fireflies. Outward, the spiral thins into calm darkness, where stars grow faint and lonely. The shape of the Milky Way is a story of balance, gravity pulling inward, momentum flinging outward, light constantly trying to escape darkness but never quite succeeding. Some nights, when you look up, you're seeing the cross-section of that balance. The band of light is the disk, the edge of the spiral seen from within. It's not flat, either. It warps slightly, like a record bending at the edges, tugged by unseen gravitational tides. The galaxy tilts, ripples, and sways, like a slow ocean caught in perpetual dance. Astronomers trace this motion using clues: radio waves from hydrogen, infrared light from dust, the flicker of stars that pulse like cosmic beacons. With patient listening, they've learned to map what they cannot see. It's almost poetic, to understand the invisible by measuring its silence. You might wonder, if we can't see the whole, how do we know it's real? The answer lies in gravity's whisper. Everything in the galaxy moves in response to something else. Even if you can't see the dancer, you can trace their rhythm through the floor beneath your feet. By studying the orbits of stars, their speeds, directions, accelerations, we can deduce the unseen curve of the Milky Way itself. And what we find is astonishing. We are traveling around the galactic center at roughly 828,000 kilometers per hour. At that speed, you cross the width of the United States in a second. Yet you feel nothing, no rush of air, no wind in your face, because everything around you, from your breath to the moon, shares the same silent motion. If you ever feel small, remember this: you are part of something vast that moves with unimaginable grace. The galaxy's rotation is your heartbeat scaled to eternity. Its arms are your history stretched across light years. The Milky Way's shape is not a diagram, it's a memory in motion, a geometry, written by gravity and time. And though we may never stand outside it to gaze upon its full spiral, there's a strange comfort in that limitation. The mystery keeps us curious, and curiosity keeps us awake in the night, searching, listening, mapping the darkness from within. So when you next look up and see that hazy river of light, imagine the shape you can't see, the great turning wheel you belong to. You are a single note in a symphony too wide for human eyes, yet perfectly tuned to include you. And if the galaxy has a shape, perhaps it's not a spiral at all. Perhaps it's a circle, closing softly. So every beginning meets itself again. Every night, we draw a map without knowing it. When you tilt your head back and look at the stars, your eyes become ancient instruments. You're not just gazing at light, you're tracing absence. The Milky Way, for all its brilliance, is also a story written in shadow. Between those bright rivers of starlight lie enormous regions where nothing shines. They look empty, like cracks in the sky. But those dark patches, the rifts that break the glowing band, are not voids. They are clouds of dust and gas so thick they swallow light whole. We call them dark nebulae. They're not sinister, just patient. Inside them, new stars are forming quietly, invisibly like seeds beneath winter soil. What seems like a hole in the galaxy is really its womb. These are the places where creation hides until it's ready to be seen. For centuries, we mistook darkness for emptiness. Early astronomers thought the gaps in the Milky Way were tears in heaven, places where light had never been born. But when radio telescopes began to listen beyond visible light, they found that those voids hum with quiet signals, long, slow waves of energy, proof that the night is never truly silent. The map of our galaxy isn't drawn with ink, but with wavelengths. Optical telescopes show the stars. Infrared reveals the dust. Radio waves trace hydrogen, the simplest and oldest element. X-rays and gamma rays unveil the violent hearts of dying suns. Put them together, and you don't get a picture, you get a memory, layered and living. The Milky Way is both light and the shadow that defines it. Every bright point tells you where something is. Every darkness tells you where something is becoming. If you could stand beyond our atmosphere and see with all these senses at once, the galaxy would not look pale and smooth. It would shimmer in invisible rainbows, reds, purples, golds, and ghostly blues. The dark lanes would swirl with temperature and magnetic force, a hidden architecture holding the luminous spiral in shape. The more we map, the stranger it becomes. We find streams of stars arcing through space, remnants of smaller galaxies torn apart by the Milky Way's gravity. We find halos of dark matter encasing everything, unseen but measurable, bending the path of light itself. And deep within the galactic core, we find the same silence we felt at the beginning, the quiet pulse of something vast that keeps time for us all. But even the best maps remain incomplete. We can't see the far side of our own galaxy. The central dust clouds are too dense. We know there are stars there, planets, perhaps civilizations circling suns we've never glimpsed. Yet their light may take tens of thousands of years to reach us. When it does, we'll be long gone, but the story will continue. In a way, every stargazer adds a small piece to that map. Each question asked, each photograph taken, each night spent awake under the cosmic current there, all coordinates on humanity's chart of wonder. We may never finish it, but maybe that's the point. The galaxy is too large to be known. It's meant to be felt. And when you lie in the dark, eyes half closed, breathing slow, you're not just watching the stars, you're part of the same mechanism that made them. The atoms in your blood were once dust in those invisible clouds. The oxygen in your lungs was born in a forgotten sun. The light that touches your skin tonight has traveled for centuries to arrive here. At this quiet moment, in your room, on your face. That's the real map, not drawn in charts or coordinates, but in connection. You are not separate from the Milky Way. You are one of its ways of knowing itself. Its darkness flows through you as surely as its light. So next time you see the night sky, don't just trace the stars. Trace the spaces between them, the calm, the silence, the unlit paths where futures are forming. Because every river needs its shadow to flow. And somewhere within that darkness, the galaxy is dreaming you back. Imagine traveling inward, past the familiar constellations, past the glowing arms of the Milky Way, past the veil of dust that hides its center. If you kept going through 40,000 light-years of distance and density, you would arrive at the place where everything turns. The heart, the galactic core. It doesn't look like a heart, not in the way we picture one. It's a crowded storm of light stars, packed so tightly that night would never fall. Around you, suns orbit and collide, clouds of gas flare, like solar tempests, and magnetic fields twist through space like invisible roots. It's chaos in perfect rhythm, the beating center of our galaxy. And at the very core of that core, beyond the blinding radiance, lies something no light can escape, a black hole. Sagittarius A*, 4 million times the mass of our Sun, compressed into a region smaller than the orbit of Mercury. It doesn't glow, it doesn't roar, it simply waits, not as a monster, but as a kind of stillness, the eye of the galaxy's storm. Around it, matter spirals inward, forming an accretion disk, a whirlpool of radiation and gravity. Every atom that falls too close stretches, tears, and vanishes, releasing flashes of X-rays before disappearing into silence. You might expect violence, but the truth is stranger. From this devouring comes balance. The black hole anchors everything. Without it, the galaxy would drift apart. So when you look at the night sky, when you see that faint milky band, you're witnessing the work of a heart that never sleeps. A gravity so vast it keeps the stars from flying away. A silence so deep it holds the entire spiral together. It's hard to imagine something so immense being invisible. We can't see Sagittarius A times directly. We detect its presence by how it makes other stars move. For decades, astronomers watched a cluster of bright points near the galactic center. They traced their paths fast, elliptical orbits, whipping around an unseen mass. Like bees circling an invisible queen, their movement revealed the truth. An object so dense, so heavy, that nothing but a supermassive black hole could explain it. Even now, that knowledge feels more like faith than fact. We can describe it mathematically, map it with radio telescopes, even photograph its surrounding glow. Yet what lies beyond that event horizon remains unknowable. The laws of physics bend there, like light around its edge. Time itself stretches thin. The closer you drift, the slower you exist. Imagine hovering near that boundary. To you, seconds would pass normally. But to anyone watching from afar, your movement would slow, slower, until you seemed frozen. You'd fade, never quite vanishing, as your light stretched into infinity. To the universe, you would become an eternal echo, neither gone nor here, just suspended between. And maybe that's what the galaxy's heart truly is. A place where time pauses long, enough for everything else to keep moving. When we say the black hole holds the Milky Way together, what we mean is that it defines the rhythm of its dance. Every star, every dust cloud, every orbit is part of a gravitational choreography, spinning in response to that central pull. It's not control, it's communion. Some cultures once believed the universe rested on the back of a turtle. Others spoke of cosmic trees or great serpents swallowing their tails. They weren't wrong, in spirit. They were describing the same mystery in older language, that something unseen supports the seen. That motion and stillness depend on one another. That even the infinite needs a center. The Milky Way's center is not destruction, it's definition. Where light ends, structure begins. Where nothing remains, everything else orbits. And if you listen, really listen, you can almost feel that pulse from here. Every 230 million years, our sun completes one lap around it. Every second, billions of tons of matter fall toward it. And through all of that, it remains silent. A paradox of hunger and calm. Perhaps that's why the galaxy feels alive, because at its heart lies a quiet presence, breathing in stars, exhaling gravity, keeping time for everything that exists within its spiral arms, including you. The journey to the galactic core isn't about going somewhere. It's about realizing that even silence has motion, and that sometimes the most powerful forces in the universe say nothing at all. Gravity has no sound, and yet it sings. Not with notes or echoes, but with motion. Every orbit, every spiral, every falling star is part of that unseen song, a symphony written in the mathematics of attraction. You can't hear it with your ears, but your body knows it. You live suspended in its rhythm. Think of gravity not as a force, but as a conversation between all things. Every star speaks to every other. Every planet answers in its own curve of motion. Even you, lying there tonight, are pulling the universe toward you gently, invisibly as it pulls you back. The whole cosmos is dancing to this music, and no one sits still. Around the galactic core, this song is loudest. Stars move in orbits so vast, yet so precise, that even a small deviation would send them into chaos. But they don't drift away. They follow the melody, guided not by sound, but by the shape of space itself. Einstein taught us that gravity is not a string tugging downward. It's the bending of reality. Mass curves space, and space tells mass how to move. It's not a push or a pull. It's a waltz between being and the fabric that holds it. If you could translate that curvature into music, you would hear the slow, resonant hum of time itself. long waves that take millennia to form a single chord. Every orbit of a star around the galactic center is a note. Every collision, every merger, every whisper of dark matter adds harmony. Astronomers once thought the universe was silent, but it isn't. With instruments sensitive enough, we can listen to gravitational waves, ripples in space-time created when massive bodies move, like two black holes colliding. When they meet, the universe trembles a vibration not through air, but through existence itself. And for the briefest instant, reality hums like a struck bell. These waves pass through you right now. They're too faint to feel, but they're there, stretching and relaxing space itself by less than the width of an atom. A reminder that everything, even the stillness around you, is never perfectly still. In the Milky Way, gravity is the conductor of a performance billions of years long. Stars born in its spiral arms drift outward, age, die, and release their elements back into the galactic sea, where new stars rise again. That cycle, endless and serene, keeps the galaxy in tune. It's not a song of chaos, but of renewal. When you close your eyes tonight, you are inside that composition. Your atoms move to its tempo, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon that once belonged to a forgotten star. All of it is vibrating with the same cosmic resonance. The same gravity that holds the sun in place once shaped you. You are not apart from the Milky Way's rhythm, you are one of its quieter notes. Imagine drifting among the stars near the galactic core. You'd see their orbits as spirals of gold and silver, weaving like ribbons of light, around an invisible center. You'd feel no wind, no pressure, only the soft certainty of motion guided by something eternal. You wouldn't fall. You would flow. Gravity is not a prison. It's a current, the galaxy's heartbeat translated into movement. When we say the universe has structure, what we really mean is that it has music repeating patterns, variations, and harmony woven through scale and time. From the orbit of electrons around atoms to the spin of galaxies around black holes, the same rhythm echoes. Circles within circles, balance within motion, creation within collapse. And if you listen long enough, you start to notice the emotional undertone of it all. The way every pull has its equal return. The way falling is never just descent, but participation in something larger than yourself. Maybe that's why we find gravity comforting. It's the universe's way of saying stay close. Not by command, but by design. So as you breathe, imagine this. Each inhale draws the cosmos a little nearer. Each exhale releases it gently. And in that simple rhythm, you're echoing the same balance that holds entire galaxies together. Gravity's song is endless, slow, patient, eternal. And though we can't hear it, we live within its harmony every second of our lives. There's a kind of silence that isn't empty, the kind that feels full, humming beneath stillness. That's the silence at the center of the galaxy. When we speak of Sagittarius A*, we imagine darkness, gravity, mystery. But if you could drift there slowly, gently, and look beyond light and heat, you would find something more profound than terror. You would find peace. A place where everything stops trying to be something else. Around you, stars orbit in wild loops. Gas flares, magnetic fields twist, time itself bends. But at the very edge, that invisible boundary called the event horizon, the chaos becomes still. Every motion slows, every particle hesitates. The universe draws a breath and holds it. That is the center. Not noise, not destruction, a pause. An eternal inhale, where even light takes a moment to rest. From far away, we call it the point of no return. But what if it's not an ending? What if it's a horizon of beginnings we can't yet understand? For all our equations, all our telescopes, we cannot say what happens beyond it. Space folds inward, time becomes geometry, matter becomes memory. Inside that mystery, perhaps the universe rewrites itself. Perhaps it dreams. Einstein's math tells us that gravity curves space. Quantum physics tells us that energy flickers, uncertain, even in a vacuum. Between them lies this unsolved riddle, a singularity, where the laws of the cosmos dissolve into silence. And maybe that silence isn't failure. Maybe it's truth, too simple for words. Imagine floating just outside that horizon, watching the last light circle endlessly before fading. You wouldn't fall quickly. From your view, time would stretch seconds turning to years, years into centuries. To anyone watching from Earth, you'd never quite disappear. You'd hang there, frozen in time, as your image slowly redshifted into invisibility. But from your own perspective, you'd already crossed over, smoothly, silently, into something timeless. It's strange to think that the heart of our galaxy, the thing that keeps us together, is made of something we can't see and can't touch. And yet, without it, there would be no spiral arms, no galactic rhythm, no sky full of stars to lull us to sleep. The silence at the center is what gives everything else permission to move. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel that stillness in your own body, the pause between breaths, the quiet under your heartbeat. That's the same silence. It's not out there, it's in you. The same gravity that binds the galaxy holds your atoms together. The same stillness that balances billions of suns lives in your chest each time you exhale. We often fear nothingness. But the cosmos reminds us, nothingness is where form comes from. Darkness is where stars are born. Stillness is where motion begins. Astronomers once called black holes frozen stars, and maybe that's closer to the truth than they realized. They are memories, remnants of suns that gave everything, collapsed inward, and became pure potential. They don't destroy, they transform. They return energy to the field, structure to the spiral, meaning to motion. So the heart of the Milky Way isn't asleep. It's awake in a way we can't yet imagine, listening to the hum of a trillion suns, keeping them in their slow waltz through eternity. That quiet gravitational pulse has been beating since before the Earth existed, and it will continue long after the last mountain fades into dust. Sometimes, when you stand outside on a still night and feel the world go silent, you might sense it a low, impossible calm, like the background tone of existence itself. That's not imagination, that's the Milky Way breathing through you. The universe doesn't speak loudly. Its wisdom comes in pauses, in distances, in gravity so deep it folds even light into thought. If you listen closely, the silence at the center sounds a little like peace. And maybe, at the heart of everything, of galaxies, of time, of you, there is no noise at all. Just a quiet rhythm waiting to be heard. Every light you see in the night sky was once born from darkness. Before a star exists, there is only cold, drifting dust, lonely atoms, and the quiet hum of gravity drawing them together. For millions of years, this invisible material swirls and gathers, not in haste but in patience, until the silence grows heavy enough to ignite. And then, somewhere in that endless dark, a flicker. Hydrogen begins to fuse into helium, and a new sun exhales its first light. A star is born. You might think of stars as distant, eternal points, perfect and still, but each one is a living process, a balancing act between collapse and explosion. Gravity pulls inward, fusion pushes outward. That equilibrium, that constant negotiation, is what allows a star to exist. It's the universe learning how to breathe. The Milky Way is full of these cradles, stellar nurseries, we call them. Vast clouds of gas and dust, stretching for hundreds of light years, glowing faintly with the warmth of new creation. The Orion Nebula, the Eagle Nebula, the Carina Nebula. Each is a garden of fire, where gravity plays gardener and light grows like leaves. If you could drift among them, you wouldn't hear a sound, but you'd feel the warmth of pressure, the soft pulse of invisible winds. You'd see tendrils of gas twisting like smoke, illuminated from within by the young suns still wrapped in their birth cocoons. It would be like floating inside a living dream, a slow-motion sunrise, the size of eternity. And though these stars seem far from you, their story is your story. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your skin, all forged in ancient stars that once burned like these. When they exploded, they scattered their ashes through space, and from that debris came new worlds, including this one. In a very real sense, the galaxy remembers. Every new generation of stars carries within it the remnants of the old. They inherit the atoms of their ancestors, reshaped and reborn. The Milky Way is a family tree of light, each branch glowing with shared memory. Sometimes, when you look up and see a young blue star blazing in the dark, you're witnessing that inheritance in motion, the past becoming present, the present already preparing to become future. Stars are not just beacons. They are the memory of the cosmos made visible. And it's not only the grand nebulae that create them. Even in the faint, hidden corners of the galaxy, small pockets of gas left over from older generations. Gravity never stops whispering. It gathers, compresses, and waits. It listens until the weight of silence becomes too heavy, and then a flare, a spark, a new sun. We tend to imagine creation as sudden, but the universe does nothing quickly. Stars take millions of years to form. They are the result of patience on a cosmic scale, the slow choreography of temperature, pressure, and time. And in that slowness, there's something deeply comforting. The universe doesn't rush, and neither must you. When you gaze at the Milky Way, you are looking through layers of birth and rebirth clouds where stars are forming now, others where they have already died, and light from both reaching you together, perfectly overlapped. You are watching the galaxy remember itself. Close your eyes. Imagine drifting through that nursery of fire, soft pinks, golds, and blues glowing in the dark like lanterns underwater. You can almost hear the low sigh of hydrogen fusing into helium, the most ancient song there is. Every heartbeat of every star adds to that harmony. And somewhere, among all those lights, one of them once gave you everything you are. You are made of starlight, not metaphorically, but chemically, truthfully. The same process that keeps a star alive once forged your atoms. When it shines, you shine. When it dies, you continue. So tonight, when you look up, remember this: you're not looking at strangers. You're looking at the places you came from. The stars do not simply burn, they remember. And in remembering, they make everything new again. Not all stars are young. Most of the light that reaches us tonight left its source before our ancestors learned to write, before the first trees fell into fossil, before the first human dream was ever whispered to fire. The night sky is a museum of ancient light. Each star you see has already changed. Some no longer exist, their light still traveling toward us, centuries behind their deaths. When you look up, you are seeing ghosts, echoes of suns that once burned, now long gone. And yet, those ghosts still illuminate your world. In the heart of the Milky Way, there are stars older than our sun by billions of years. They formed when the universe was still finding its rhythm, when there was less metal, less dust, fewer complex atoms. These population 2 stars, as astronomers call them, are like fossils frozen in radiation. They glow dimmer, redder, quieter. They are survivors of a different era, a simpler, rougher cosmos. Imagine one of them a fading crimson sun, orbiting far above the galactic plane, its planets long stripped of air and ocean, its moons fractured, its asteroids scattered. Around it, silence thicker than distance itself. Yet it still burns, faintly, faithfully, like an ember that refuses to die. Stars like these have seen things we can't imagine. They watched galaxies collide and merge. They felt the first magnetic fields twist through space. They outlived the birth and death of trillions of younger lights. They have become witnesses, quiet, unblinking, infinite in patience. And some of them still hold secrets. Astronomers studying their spectra, the fingerprints of their light, find traces of elements that shouldn't exist, hints of long-lost collisions, vanished worlds, and unknown processes. Every line in their starlight tells a story: where they were born, how they lived, what they consumed, what they gave back to the void. Reading an old star is like reading the autobiography of the universe itself. If you could visit one of these ancient suns, you might find it surrounded by the remnants of forgotten planets, rocky skeletons orbiting silently, frozen continents with no sky, only shadow, rings made not of ice, but dust, the last memory of a moon. Each fragment a word in a cosmic language too old for translation. And yet, even here there is beauty, because nothing in the universe is truly lost. Every particle, every photon, Every memory of heat eventually finds its way back into the current of creation. The elements from those forgotten worlds may one day drift into new nebulae, fuse into new stars, and ignite again. Every ending becomes a beginning when seen from far enough away. It's humbling to realize how temporary our moment is, that the sun, too, will one day become an ancient star, its brilliance dimmed to a whisper. Billions of years from now, some other beings may trace its ashes and wonder what kind of worlds once orbited here. And maybe, just maybe, one of them will find a faint trace, a satellite fossil, a shard of metal, a signal still echoing from our time, and realize that even we were part of the great remembering. The Milky Way carries those memories like scars and songs. Some stars drift alone, exiled after close encounters. Others wander in clusters, bound by shared birth. Together, they form the galactic halo, a glowing web of history encircling the spiral arms. Each point of light is both present and past, both living and remembered. It's strange, isn't it, how the oldest stars and the youngest nebulae coexist in the same sky, separated by billions of years yet sharing the same canvas. When you gaze upward, you collapse time without realizing it. You are seeing then and now at once a tapestry woven across ages, each thread still shimmering with unfinished stories. Perhaps that's why stargazing feels nostalgic, even if you've never been there. Somewhere deep inside, your atoms remember. They remember the warmth of the first star they belonged to. They remember falling through darkness, fusing into light, cooling into stone, and waking again in the shape of you. And when you look up tonight at those ancient suns, those forgotten worlds still circling in silence, you are not just watching history, you are recognizing yourself in it. The galaxy doesn't forget. It carries everything, the brilliant, the broken, the gone. And in its patience, it teaches us this, that nothing truly vanishes. It just changes form until the light finds another way to shine. Every flame must rest. Even the oldest suns, after billions of years of giving light, begin to dim. Their fuel thins, their balance falters, and the universe prepares them for sleep. The first sign is a tremor in rhythm. Deep within the star, fusion struggles. Gravity, patient and faithful, begins to win. The star sighs inward, compressing, heating one last time before the quiet. For some, the end is gentle. Our own sun will be one of those swelling into a red giant, its glow softening to amber as it releases its outer layers into the dark. Those drifting shells of gas will become a planetary nebula, a cosmic afterglow, round and radiant, a farewell painting in the night. Others end in sudden brilliance. Massive stars collapse under their own weight, their cores crushed until atoms themselves cannot bear the pressure. Then, an instant of release. A supernova. It is not destruction, but revelation. In that flash, elements heavier than iron are born. Gold, silver, iodine, all forged in the furnace of death. A single explosion scatters enough matter to seed 100 new worlds. After the fire comes the stillness. What remains depends on the star's size. A small one cools into a white dwarf, dense as diamond, shining softly for trillions of years, before fading into invisibility, a black dwarf, a cold memory of light. A heavier one becomes a neutron star, an object no larger than a city, but so heavy that a teaspoon of it would outweigh a mountain. It spins and hums, sending pulses of radio waves through space like a heartbeat that refuses to stop. And the largest become black holes, the silent listeners we met before, stars that folded inward so completely they became the memory of themselves. To call this death feels wrong. Stars do not die. They transform. Their endings are doorways. Their ashes mix with gas. Their light enriches dust. Their gravity reshapes what drifts nearby. From that debris, new stars rise, carrying the fingerprints of the old. Somewhere, in a nebula yet unborn, the remnants of a star that died before Earth existed are already forming into something new. Perhaps another sun, perhaps another world, perhaps another pair of eyes looking up one night, wondering what comes next. The galaxy never stops recycling itself. It's a chain of breathing inhale, exhale, flare, fade. To watch a star fall asleep is to witness that breathing in slow motion. If you could stand close to a dying sun, you wouldn't hear thunder. You would hear nothing, just the vast, soft quiet of heat turning into memory. The light would dim to red, then to infrared, then to warmth invisible to sight. And then, one day, the glow would vanish. But not the influence. Its gravity would remain, gentle and constant, keeping the orbits of its children intact long after the parent had gone dark. Even in rest, a star holds on. Even in silence, it gives shape to everything around it. Perhaps that's what sleep is for us too. Not an end, but a pause that allows the next moment to exist. Every night, when you close your eyes, you echo that cosmic rhythm. You collapse inward, release your light, and trust the darkness to keep you safe until morning. When the universe looks back on itself, it does not mourn its fading suns, it celebrates them. Their light may travel for eons, crossing galaxies, falling through time, landing finally on a single surface, like this one, like you. The warmth you feel on your skin from daylight is ancient history, starlight continuing its purpose long after its origin has changed. So tonight, if you lie awake beneath the Milky Way and think about endings, remember this. Every sunset is borrowed from a star's last breath. Every glimmer above you is both a memory and a promise. No light truly goes out, it just finds another form in which to rest. The stars fall asleep, and in their dreaming, they keep the universe alive. If you could hold a handful of space in your palm, it would not be empty. It would shimmer faintly, like mist caught in sunlight, not from stars, but from the soft, unending presence of dust. Tiny particles, no larger than smoke, drifting between suns, born from their deaths. This dust is the galaxy's memory made physical. It carries within it the atoms of everything that once burned the ashes of stars, the fragments of worlds, the whispers of comets that melted into light. Invisible to our eyes, yet everywhere. Every breath you take contains a few atoms that once floated through a nebula, that once circled a star that no longer exists. We think of dust as something lifeless, something to sweep away. But in the Milky Way, dust is sacred. It is the raw material of creation, the quiet architecture of everything that becomes. Look at a sunbeam slipping through your window. The way it glows isn't because of the beam itself, but because of what it touches, the tiny specks dancing within it. Space works the same way. The glow of the galaxy comes not just from stars, but from what floats between them. Dust scatters starlight, softens its glare, paints the darkness with subtle color. If the universe were completely clear, the night sky would be harsh, a cold geometry of points and distance. But dust adds texture, warmth, and mystery. It turns light into poetry. You can see its work in the Milky Way's faint shimmer, the way some regions appear hazy, others veiled. That's not just gas, it's dust filtering light, shaping the view like stained glass. It's why the center of the galaxy looks golden, why distant stars fade into a smoky horizon. Every tint in the night sky is the fingerprint of dust. Astronomers call it interstellar medium dust, a mix of carbon, silicon, ice, and metal grains, each smaller than a red blood cell. When they cluster together, they form filaments and clouds, drifting in magnetic fields. And when light passes through them, something magical happens. It reddens, dims, bends. The cosmos gains atmosphere. Even our own planet was sculpted from dust, cosmic grains sticking together, pulled by gravity into pebbles, rocks, and worlds. Every mountain, ocean, and heartbeat you know began as something that once floated through a star's remains. The floor beneath you, the sky above you, all of it once drifted aimlessly in the dark. It's easy to overlook that, to forget that the small and unseen are what shape everything we can touch. But the galaxy remembers. When the Hubble Space Telescope peers into the dark and finds glowing nebulae, the pillars of creation, the veil, the horsehead, it's really seeing dust illuminated by starlight. Those monumental towers and waves are made of particles smaller than smoke, yet together they sculpt beauty vast enough to cradle entire clusters of suns. And it isn't just matter, it's story. Each grain of dust is a record of its journey, where it was forged, how it traveled, what light it absorbed. If you could read it the way scientists read starlight, you'd find the history of time itself written across its atoms. In a way, dust is how the universe remembers what it once was, how it stores its past in physical form, how it promises that nothing is wasted, that even what seems too small to matter still holds the essence of the infinite. When you see a cloud of interstellar dust, you are seeing the boundary between endings and beginnings, between what was and what will be. You're seeing the universe, in the act of dreaming, not quite matter, not quite light, suspended between the two. Perhaps that's why its glow feels so gentle, so familiar, because on some deep level, we are that glow. We are what happens when dust decides to dream of itself as alive. The music deepens, a faint hum of particles colliding in silence, like sparks underwater. Every galaxy has its stars, but it's the dust, the faint, uncounted, unseen dust, that gives those stars meaning. Without it, light would pass unnoticed. With it, light becomes story. And so, the Milky Way glows not only from fire, but from memory. Not only from heat, but from hope. The universe doesn't shine because of light. It shines because light found something small enough to love it back. If you could shrink yourself to the size of a dust grain, the galaxy would become an ocean. Each particle around you would drift like plankton in the deep, lightless, slow, and full of possibility. In this quiet ocean, stars are not the only things being born. Worlds are forming too. Around every young star, gravity gathers dust and gas into a thin, spinning disk. It looks like smoke caught in sunlight, but inside that haze, creation has already begun. Tiny grains collide, stick together, collide again. Every impact builds something larger. First pebbles, then stones, then mountain-sized fragments, then planets. The process takes millions of years, a silent choreography of patience. Astronomers call these protoplanetary disks, but they're more like gardens. Each swirl of dust carries the ingredients of a future sky: hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron, all drifting through light, like musical notes waiting to form a melody. When they finally come together, they don't just create rock or ice. They create homes. Think of that. Every planet, every moon, every ocean began as a handful of dust floating through a beam of starlight. Even here, beneath your feet, the soil you stand on was once stardust compressed, heated, fused, and cooled across epochs. The very ground you walk on is the long memory of collisions that happened before the Earth had a name. Inside those forming disks, chaos and calm coexist. Dust collides violently, but in that chaos, patterns emerge. Gravity pulls matter toward the center, while centrifugal force flings it outward, creating spirals within spirals. Each whirl is an experiment. Some fail, fragments torn apart, swallowed by the star's light. Others endure, held in fragile balance, growing silently in the dark. If you could watch this from afar, you'd see billions of stars, each surrounded by halos of dust, glowing rings of creation scattered through the galaxy. You'd see the Milky Way not as a flat disk, but as a storm of shimmering seeds, every one of them a potential home. And even now, it's still happening. In the Orion Nebula alone, thousands of new stars are surrounded by these protoplanetary nurseries. They look like faint smudges through a telescope. But each one is a laboratory of life, a place where dust is learning how to dream of oceans, mountains, clouds, and sky. What's remarkable is how small the beginnings are. The dust grains that start this process are almost unimaginably tiny, smaller than smoke, lighter than a whisper. Yet through time, persistence, and chance, they become planets massive enough to cradle moons and atmospheres. The smallest things give birth to the greatest. Even our sun once wore such a ring, a halo of glowing dust that slowly gathered into Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. You can still see its remnants today in the faint zodiacal light that shines before dawn, sunlight scattering off leftover grains. In the plane of the solar system, that faint, ghostly glow is the memory of our planet's beginning. Dust doesn't just build planets, it also delivers the materials for life. When young worlds are still molten and bare, comets made of ice and organic dust rain down upon them, carrying carbon, nitrogen, and water, the chemistry of hope. Each impact is a letter in the universe's first language, spelling the words that will one day become breath, thought, and song. And it all starts the same way. One speck clinging to another. One dream finding gravity. When you look at the Milky Way, you're seeing that process on every scale: dust becoming rock, rock becoming world, world becoming story. The same dance repeats across billions of stars, each with its own tempo, each with its own future skies. It's easy to forget that we're part of that story too. Our bones, our oceans, our minds, all assembled from particles that once drifted aimlessly through a nebula. Every human is a planet in miniature, built from cosmic dust that refused to give up. So when you look up and see that faint, cloudy band stretching across the night, remember what it really is. It's not just stars, it's the promise of worlds not yet born. Every fleck of dust, every faint glow, is a beginning waiting for time. The galaxy dreams constantly, not in sleep, but in creation. Its dust never settles. It gathers, it shapes, it learns the art of becoming. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the sound of it. The faint sigh of dust becoming home. Not all light can be seen. Some of it hides too slow, too long, too gentle for human eyes. It moves in waves we can't perceive, carrying warmth instead of color. That light is called infrared, and it's how the universe whispers to those who know how to listen. When we look at the Milky Way with ordinary eyes, we see stars shining through thin clouds of dust. But much of the galaxy remains concealed, veiled behind curtains of interstellar mist. Visible light can't pass through those dense clouds. It scatters, fades, and disappears. Infrared light, however, can slip through like a soft voice traveling through walls. That's how astronomers map the invisible, not by seeing brightness, but by feeling warmth. Every dust cloud, every star nursery, every dying sun gives off a quiet thermal glow. The Earth's atmosphere blocks most of it, which is why we've built eyes in space telescopes like Spitzer, Herschel, and James Webb. They don't look for color, they listen for heat. When those instruments peer into the Milky Way, the galaxy transforms. What once seemed black and empty blooms with hidden architecture. Rivers of red and gold wind through the dark. Clouds pulse with temperature, showing us where new stars are forming and where old ones are cooling down. What we thought was stillness becomes movement. What we thought was silence becomes song. Infrared light is the language of the unseen. It tells us about the things that hide the cold, the distant, the forming, the forgotten. It's how we discover the cradles of stars buried deep within their dusty wombs. It's how we find planets circling suns light years away, their atmospheres glowing faintly in the heat of their orbits. To study the galaxy in infrared is to discover that darkness was never truly dark. The Milky Way is alive, with warmth low, slow, and eternal. Even in the coldest vacuum, even in the shadow between stars, something glows. There's comfort in that. Because it means nothing is ever completely gone. Even the faintest trace of energy lingers, radiating quietly into the void. Every moment, every heartbeat of a star leaves an echo, a soft wave of warmth expanding forever. If you could see the world this way, you'd notice that everything glows. Your skin, your breath, the leaves of trees at night, all emit invisible light. Infrared isn't magic, it's memory. It's the afterglow of existence. Think of it as the universe's sigh, the sound of creation cooling down, the lingering warmth after fire. In these wavelengths, the Milky Way doesn't just shine, it breathes. Its veins of dust pulse gently. Its star clusters shimmer like embers in the dark. Its hidden shapes resemble roots, branching and reconnecting across millions of light years. It's a vision of the galaxy, not as machinery, but as a living organism, luminous beneath its own skin. When the James Webb Space Telescope sent back its first infrared images, humanity saw this truth for the first time. The Carina Nebula revealed newborn stars still wrapped in veils of gas. The pillars of creation glowed from within, no longer silhouettes, but sculptures of light. The galactic core itself, once opaque, unreachable, appeared like a burning maze of filaments. We weren't just seeing stars. we were seeing time. Infrared light carries the oldest stories. The longer the wavelength, the older the source. When you capture it, you're collecting photons that have been traveling since before Earth existed, messages from a universe still learning how to shine. Perhaps that's why these images feel emotional, even spiritual. They don't show brightness, they show warmth. They remind us that everything, even in its coldest, quietest form, still contains the memory of heat. Every night, the Milky Way hums softly in these hidden frequencies. You can't hear it, but if you could, it would sound like a lullaby, sung by time itself, the slow exhale of a galaxy, dreaming in temperature and tone. The dust that once seemed lifeless glows gently in this light, revealing its role in creation's endless cycle. Nothing in the universe is truly inert. It all radiates, all remembers, all connects. The music softens to a faint hum, deep, steady, like a heartbeat inside warmth. So when you look up at the night sky, and it feels quiet, know that it isn't. The darkness around you is glowing, softly and endlessly, with the warmth of everything that has ever been. The universe never forgets its fires. It just learns to keep them warm in silence. When you look up at the night sky, it feels empty between the stars. Vast, silent, endless. But emptiness is an illusion. Between every star lies an ocean, invisible, immense, and full of quiet life. We call it the interstellar medium, a vast sea of gas, dust, plasma, and magnetic fields that fills the spaces between suns. It's not empty space, but a delicate web connecting everything in the galaxy. Hydrogen atoms drift there like tiny plankton, moving through magnetic currents that span thousands of light years. Here, matter is sparse, a few particles per cubic centimeter, but the scale is so enormous that together they outweigh every star combined. It's strange to think of space as an ocean, but that's what it is. The stars are its islands, its coral reefs of fire, its lighthouses in the dark. Between them flows this endless tide of invisible matter, the Milky Way's bloodstream. If you could drift through it, you wouldn't see blue or green. You'd see faint glows, pinks, reds, golds, the colors of hydrogen and helium illuminated by ultraviolet light. Clouds of gas stretch for light years, shaped by the wind of dying stars and the explosions of supernovae. Each wave moves slowly, a ripple taking millions of years to cross a single region. Every star breathes into this sea. When it's young, it draws gas from it. When it dies, it exhales matter back into it. Over billions of years, this cycle turns the galaxy into a living ecosystem, a great exchange of elements and energy, forever flowing, forever renewed. The galactic sea is not uniform. Some regions are calm, nearly empty deserts of pure hydrogen, where only faint radio waves drift. Others are dense and stormy, filled with molecular clouds, where stars are born. In those places, the pressure of starlight sculpts pillars and tunnels, carving beauty into silence. Scientists map this ocean, not with sight, but with sound. Not human sound, but the translated frequencies of light waves and radiation. Each signal, when converted, becomes a tone, and together they form a cosmic symphony. A hum that spans the Milky Way, a song of temperature and density, of motion and time. It's humbling to imagine how connected everything is. The atoms floating in this interstellar sea drift from one star system to another, carried by slow winds and magnetic streams. Eventually, some of those atoms will settle again, drawn into the formation of new stars, new planets, maybe even new life. It's a long migration, taking billions of years, but it means that every world in the galaxy shares the same source, the same ocean. Even here on Earth, you carry traces of it. The air you breathe contains hydrogen that once floated freely in the void. The calcium in your bones once drifted in a supernova cloud. You are not just part of the universe, you are made from its tides. The galaxy's motion through this sea is gentle but constant. As the Milky Way spins, it drags its magnetic fields and gas with it, creating spiral waves that ripple through the disk. These waves help trigger star formation, like tides stirring nutrients on an ocean floor, feeding the next generation of light. When radio telescopes point toward these regions, They detect faint, rhythmic emissions, hydrogen atoms, flipping their magnetic orientation, emitting a single photon every 10 million years or so. That humble signal, the 21-centimeter line, is one of the most important discoveries in astronomy. It's how we trace the shape of the Milky Way, how we learned it was a spiral at all. So even silence has a frequency. Even emptiness has a pattern. The space between the stars is not still, it's a slow-moving tide, a constant exchange between creation and return. If you could hear it, the galactic sea would not roar. It would murmur a deep, continuous resonance, like the sound of breathing stretched across eternity. And as you listen to this hum in your imagination, remember, the same waves that move through the Milky Way also move through you. Every heartbeat, every breath, every dream is part of the same rhythm. The same physics that pushes dust across light years, pushes air through your lungs. You are a ripple in the same sea. The stars may seem far apart, but in truth, they are only islands on the surface of one infinite, ever-moving ocean. If the galaxy is an ocean, then the stars are its weather, each one stirring the currents with invisible winds. They blow not through air, but through space itself. Rivers of charged particles and radiation, streaming outward in every direction. We call them stellar winds. They are the breath of stars, the steady exhalation of energy into the galactic sea. And through them, the Milky Way moves and reshapes itself not violently, but rhythmically, endlessly, with the patience of eternity. Our own sun breathes like this. Every second, it releases billions of tons of particles, electrons, protons, fragments of its own light. These particles race outward, forming the solar wind, a vast bubble of influence called the heliosphere. It extends far beyond the planets, a shimmering cocoon of motion, protecting our fragile world from deeper cosmic radiation. When the solar wind brushes against Earth's magnetic field, it bends, flows, and dances across the poles. The sky responds in color, curtains of green, purple, and red unfurling above the frozen horizon. We call them auroras, but they are really conversations, Earth answering the sun's breath with light. And the sun is only one voice among billions. Every star, great or small, exhales into the darkness. Their winds collide, merge, and blend, stirring the interstellar medium into swirling shapes, shockwaves, filaments, and cavities sculpted by radiation. Over time, these stellar winds shape the very face of the Milky Way. Massive stars breathe the hardest. Their winds blow at thousands of kilometers per second, clearing away nearby dust, compressing clouds, and triggering new star formation elsewhere. Even as they give, they create. Even as they erode, they renew. Imagine drifting near one of these giants, a blue supergiant 100 times more massive than our Sunday. You'd see ripples of ionized gas expanding outward, like smoke in slow motion. Each pulse of light, each wave of heat, carries pieces of that star across space, ensuring that when it finally fades, its essence continues to wander. In the galactic sea, nothing truly rests. One star's breath becomes another's nourishment. One system's death becomes another's dawn. These winds are the Milky Way's circulatory system, carrying elements, magnetism, and heat through every spiral arm. Even black holes, those silent anchors, send out their own versions, jets, streams of energy, moving near the speed of light, piercing through the galactic medium, like cosmic lightning. They are the opposite of silence, proof that even where gravity swallows, motion remains. Astronomers have found vast bubbles around the Milky Way's center, two great lobes of plasma, stretching tens of thousands of light-years above and below the disk. They are the fossil winds of long-ago events, perhaps the echoes of our galaxy's central black hole feeding, or the accumulated breath of generations of stars. We call them the Fermi bubbles, two shimmering wings of energy, still glowing, still expanding, still telling the story of how the galaxy breathes. And yet, for all this motion, there is no chaos, only balance. Where one region expands, another cools and contracts. Where one storm rages, another calm begins. The Milky Way doesn't just move through space, it circulates. It exhales energy, then draws it back again, like tides on a cosmic shore. Our world exists inside one of those tides, bathed constantly in the sun's steady wind, protected, illuminated, and shaped by it. Every whisper of the solar wind that touches Earth's atmosphere is a reminder that we are not apart from the galaxy's weather. We are inside it, moving with it, breathing it in. And the particles that leave the sun today, some will keep traveling long after the sun itself has faded. They will drift into the interstellar medium, join new clouds, form new stars, and perhaps, one day, return as part of another world, another sky, another observer looking up in wonder. The winds that carry suns are not just forces, they are connections, threads, linking every generation of stars, every spark of life. They remind us that the galaxy is not a place of isolation, but of constant conversation, a dialogue of matter and motion, of giving and returning. So the next time you feel the wind on your face, remember that you're feeling something ancient, a miniature echo of the same breath that moves the stars. The same rhythm that brushes the auroras into bloom is the rhythm that keeps the Milky Way alive. The universe breathes in particles and time, and we, small, bright and fragile, are one of its quiet exhalations. Light never hurries. It simply moves, steady, unwavering, absolute. Every second, it travels almost 300,000 kilometers, and yet, when the scale is measured in galaxies, even that speed feels slow. Distances between stars are so vast that we name them with light itself. Light years, the measure of how far illumination can wander in a single year. From the sun to the next nearest star, it's 4 of them. From the sun to the galactic core, 26,000. Across the Milky Way from edge to edge, 100,000 light-years of travel, 100,000 years for a single message of brightness to cross the sky. And through that distance, the light keeps whispering. Every photon you see tonight began its journey long before you were born. Some left their stars before humanity existed. Some have been traveling since the first mammals opened their eyes. They move silently through the galactic sea, bending around dust clouds, brushing against magnetic fields, losing energy but never direction. They carry history not in words, but in warmth. Astronomers build their lives around listening to those whispers. A telescope is just a cup held to the ocean of time, catching light that has wandered billions of years to arrive. Every color tells a distance. Every dimming tells an age. A faint red shift means the star is running away. A bright blue shift means it is coming closer. Space itself leaves fingerprints on light, and by reading them, we learn how the galaxy breathes. Imagine what that journey is like for a photon born in the heart of a star, bouncing among atoms for thousands of years before escaping the surface, then gliding unimpeded through the dark, carrying the memory of its origin. No eyes to see it, no air to scatter it, no friction to slow it. Just the silent glide through eternity until, one night, it meets the mirror of a telescope or the back of your own retina and completes its voyage. You, standing beneath the sky, are the destination of ancient light. Your pupils are small harbors in which starlight finally rests. The phrase, "the speed of light," often sounds like certainty, but in truth, it is a rhythm, the universe's tempo. All events, all causality, all communication obey it. Nothing outruns it. Everything dances to its timing. And in that constancy, there is peace. The light year reminds us that even in a universe of chaos, there is at least one unbroken line, one speed, one song, one steady whisper that connects everything. Sometimes, late at night, astronomers turn their antennas not toward stars but toward the in-between. They listen to the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light of all, the cooled remnant of the universe's first breath. It arrives as a faint hiss, uniform and patient, filling every direction of the sky. It's the whisper of creation itself, the echo of when everything began to shine. Light never forgets. Even when it weakens beyond sight, its energy still ripples across space, marking the paths of galaxies, shaping the forms of nebulae, telling the story of expansion, motion, and time. When you gaze up, you might feel small, but light does not measure importance in size. It measures it in presence. Every atom in you glows faintly in infrared. Every thought, every heartbeat, sends out a trace of energy into the universe. You are not merely illuminated by the stars. You are part of their whisper. If you could slow time and watch the galaxy breathe, you'd see light flowing like tides, waves crossing, merging, scattering. The Milky Way would shimmer like a living ocean, its stars pulsing in slow conversation. And somewhere in that pattern, the Earth would glint a single spark on a single wave, heard for only a moment, but heard nonetheless. Light does not rush, and neither must you. Everything finds its place in its own measure. The stars wait, the dust drifts, and the photon continues its endless journey. So, when you look into the night and see a point of light, know that you are not just seeing distance, you are seeing duration. You are seeing time folded into brightness, the quiet proof that even across unimaginable space, the universe never stops reaching out. Light is not a shout, it's a whisper that never fades. For everything we can see in the Milky Way, every star, planet, and nebula, there is something else we cannot. An unseen framework, silent but immense, holding it all together. We call it dark matter, but the name hides as much as it reveals. It isn't dark the way shadows are dark. It's dark because it gives off no light at all. It neither shines nor reflects nor absorbs. It is simply there, invisible and patient, shaping everything that glows. When astronomers measured how fast stars orbit the galactic center, the numbers made no sense. The outer stars moved far too quickly. They should have flown into the void long ago. And yet, they stayed. Something we could not see was keeping them bound, an invisible hand holding the spiral together. That was the first clue. More came with time. Galaxies bending light that passed behind them, clusters moving as though tethered by unseen mass. The cosmic web itself, stretching across the universe, its threads thicker than light could account for. Every observation whispered the same thing. Most of the universe is missing from sight. Roughly 85% of all matter, we are told, is dark. Only a thin sliver of creation glows. The rest remains unlit, unheard, unnamed. It's humbling to think that everything we've ever known, every planet, every thought, every breath, is part of the smaller fraction, the visible residue floating on an unseen sea. Scientists have given this mystery numbers, theories, names, WIMPs, axions, sterile neutrinos. They've built detectors deep underground, waiting for a single invisible particle to pass through. They've launched satellites, mapped cosmic radiation, searched for faint gravitational clues, but the truth remains out of reach. Dark matter does not speak in photons or heat. It speaks only in gravity. It's possible that it surrounds you right now, trillions of particles passing through your body each second, quiet as dust, unnoticed, unfelt. The Earth moves through a halo of it, as it orbits the Sunday. The Sun drifts through a larger halo, as it circles the Milky Way. We swim in darkness, as fish swim in water, unaware of the ocean that sustains us. Imagine the galaxy without it. The spiral arms would unravel, the stars would scatter, the grand design would dissolve into drifting sparks. Dark matter is the skeleton beneath the Milky Way's skin, the hidden architect giving the galaxy its grace. If you could see it, if your eyes could somehow translate gravity into color, the night sky would look nothing like the one you know. Behind every bright cluster would be a vast, dim halo, like a ghostly coral reef supporting each bloom of starlight. Filaments of dark matter would stretch between galaxies, forming bridges where new systems are born. You'd see the universe not as scattered islands, but as one immense web, shimmering with unseen threads. And maybe, in a way, that's what it truly is. A web of connection. A reminder that the most powerful forces are often the ones we cannot sense. We like to believe that light reveals truth, that what we can see is what is real. But the cosmos is teaching us something gentler, something quieter. That reality is larger than perception, that visibility is not existence, that mystery is not absence. Every time a star moves, every time a galaxy spins, it's answering to the music of this unseen matter. Its pull keeps the night coherent. Its silence keeps the stars in tune. Perhaps that's why the Milky Way feels so balanced, because even in a universe ruled by fire, there is an invisible counterweight of calm. Dark matter may be cold, but it gives structure to everything warm. A long pause, a breath held by the cosmos itself. We may never touch it, never capture it, never name it fully, but we feel its presence in the way the stars hold hands across the void. It's proof that the unknown is not our enemy. It's the quiet foundation beneath everything we love. In the end, darkness is not the opposite of light. It's the space that lets light exist at all. If you could step outside the Milky Way far enough to see the whole cosmos at once, you'd notice something surprising. Galaxies aren't scattered randomly through space. They form patterns. Vast filaments and clusters, woven together like the strands of a living fabric. This is the cosmic web, the grand design drawn by the gravity of dark matter. It's not a structure we can see directly, but one we can trace by its influence. Galaxies cling to its threads, the way dew gathers on a spider's silk. Between those glowing filaments lie immense voids, vast, nearly empty spaces where almost nothing exists. The universe, on its largest scale, looks less like a field of stars and more like a neural network, a mind made of galaxies, thinking slowly through gravity. Our Milky Way lies along one of these filaments, flowing like a bead of light along an unseen string. The structure it inhabits is older than our galaxy, older than the stars themselves, a lattice of invisible matter that guided where light would one day gather. It's as if the darkness sketched the map first, and the luminous followed the lines. Everywhere astronomers look, they find the same pattern. Clusters connected by filaments, filaments connected by nodes, each node a crossroads, where gravity has gathered enough matter to spark new creation. And though this lattice spans billions of light years, its shape echoes on smaller scales inside galaxies, inside atoms, even inside the filaments of living tissue. The architecture of the unseen repeats itself, fractal and patient. It's humbling to realize that the same geometry shaping the cosmos also whispers within you the branching of veins, the pathways of neurons, the fragile networks of thought. The universe builds with the same blueprint, from the vast to the microscopic. It doesn't copy, it remembers. Imagine drifting through this invisible web, no stars, no light, only gravity as texture. You'd feel the pull and release like tides underfoot, each step bending the unseen field. The filaments would hum faintly, not in sound, but in motion, their slow vibration echoing the galaxy's heartbeat. Somewhere along one of those threads, a ripple begins, a concentration of dark matter, a tiny unevenness in the early universe's smoothness. It grows, pulling gas and dust into its orbit, forming stars, then galaxies, then clusters. The pattern expands outward endlessly, each new node a spark in the cosmic mind. And through it all, dark matter never reveals itself. It stays hidden, content to be the scaffold, the quiet architecture beneath the stars. We see only the frosting, the bright galaxies, the luminous skin of an invisible skeleton. When we map the distribution of galaxies across space, we're really sketching the shadow of dark matter. The luminous is the echo of the unseen. And if you overlay all those maps together, you find a structure so immense that it defies comprehension. Hundreds of billions of galaxies bound by gravity, flowing like blood through an infinite body. Astronomers have compared it to coral reefs, to the branching of lightning, to the mycelium of fungi connecting forests underground. Each is true in its own way. Each captures the essence of connection, that life, light, and matter are never truly separate. They move together, following the same unseen rhythm. When we look at the night sky, we're seeing only the bright tips of that network, the surface of something unimaginably deeper. The darkness between the stars is not empty. It's the foundation, the structure, the silent promise that holds the light in place. And perhaps that's why the Milky Way feels like home, because it's not isolated. It belongs to a web of relationships so vast that even its orbit through space is guided by threads that began before time as we know it. Every thought you have, every spark of consciousness, arises within a smaller version of that same web. Neurons firing, pathways linking, meaning flowing across invisible lines. You are the universe remembering itself in miniature. The lattice of the invisible runs through you too. A quiet swell of sound like wind through strings, a delicate hum that fades into nothing. We chase light because it dazzles. But the real wonder lives in what light depends on the framework that holds it, the darkness that gives it shape, the quiet that lets its music ring. The stars are stories, but dark matter is grammar, the structure beneath all meaning. And so, the galaxy is not suspended in space. It is woven into it, one bright thought in a mind made of night. There is a paradox at the heart of everything. The universe, in all its vastness, is made mostly of things we cannot see, and yet it is also filled with something even stranger. Nothing. But nothing, it turns out, has weight. For centuries, we imagined the vacuum of space as empty, a black canvas stretched between the stars. But when we finally learned to listen carefully enough to measure the faint hum of reality itself, we found that emptiness isn't empty. Even where no light shines and no matter moves, there is still a quiet storm, fields fluctuating, particles appearing and vanishing, the ghost breath of existence weaving itself in and out of being. Quantum physics calls it vacuum energy, a sea of invisible motion, a restless potential bubbling beneath stillness. Every cubic meter of space, even the space between galaxies, holds more energy than all the stars combined. It's not the kind of energy we can use, but the kind that holds the stage. Together, that tells space to stretch, that tells time to flow. This is what we call dark energy, the mysterious pressure that pushes the universe apart. If dark matter binds the galaxies, dark energy loosens them, stretching space itself faster and faster, as if the cosmos were learning how to breathe outward. We discovered it almost by accident. Astronomers measuring the brightness of distant supernovae expected to find the universe slowing down, its gravity gradually pulling it inward again. Instead, they found acceleration, galaxies racing away faster than ever, as though propelled by a force born from the vacuum itself. The weight of nothing, the push of silence, a pressure so subtle we cannot feel it, yet so strong it shapes the destiny of all things. It's humbling and a little dizzying to think that every breath, every orbit, every star is balanced between two invisible forces. Dark matter pulling together, dark energy pushing apart. One gathers, one releases. Together, they form the heartbeat of the universe. Perhaps that is the truest rhythm of existence, the tension between holding on and letting go. When you think of the Milky Way turning through the dark, it's stars bound by unseen gravity. Remember that it's also drifting through something greater, the cosmic expansion, the slow, eternal exhale of space itself. The galaxy floats on that tide, its motion both guided and undone by the same invisible field. And yet, despite this vast outward flow, everything remains connected. The stars still shine, planets still orbit, life still rises and wonders. Dark energy is not destruction, it's distance. It's the space that allows light to travel, the gap that gives love and curiosity room to exist. Even here, in the air around you, in the atoms of your hand, the same vacuum hums. If you could shrink yourself down to the scale of quanta, you would see a world trembling with presence particles, popping in and out of existence, like sparks in a campfire, too vast for our senses. The weight of nothing is the sound of everything happening at once. We are built from opposite substance and void, pull and push, being and not being. And somehow, they make balance. Perhaps the universe is teaching us something through this quiet contradiction. That absence can be creative, that silence can be structure, that what we cannot hold is often what holds us. You are made of the same paradox. Your thoughts arise from gaps between neurons, your breath from the space between heartbeats, your sense of self from the thin line where matter meets awareness. You, too, are a lattice of something, a nothing, a living echo of the universe's most elegant design. So when you stare into the night and see the stars scattered like dust, remember that the darkness between them is not void. It is alive with quiet power. It presses outward, carrying the galaxies on its tide. It cradles creation in an embrace so vast it feels like solitude. Nothingness is not the absence of being. It is the space that allows being to become. And maybe that's the secret the universe has been whispering all along. That even nothing, especially nothing, has its own kind of gravity. For all the immensity of the galaxy, its spiraling arms, its roaring center, its invisible bones of gravity. There is a quiet corner where things slow down. Not a place of power, but of peace. This is where we live. The Orion Arm, sometimes called the Orion Spur, isn't one of the Milky Way's grand structures. It's a side path, a slender bridge between two of the great spiral arms, the Perseus and the Sagittarius. If the galaxy were a city of light, we'd live in its calm outskirts, far from the downtown blaze. And maybe that distance is what makes life possible. Here, the radiation from the core isn't too strong. Here, stars aren't packed too close or too few. Here, we orbit quietly, surrounded by the hum of balance. Not too hot, not too cold, not too crowded, not too empty. It's strange to think that peace can depend on placement, that existence itself might be an accident of geography. But in this quiet arm, the conditions aligned. A gentle star, stable for billions of years. A planet at just the right distance. An atmosphere thick enough to hold warmth. And a sky clear enough to let us dream. From this tiny vantage point, we look outward and imagine ourselves small. And yet, if you could see the galaxy from far above, our sun would be one of its billions of lanterns, threaded along a ribbon of dust and gas that curls like smoke through the dark. We're not the center of anything, but we are part of everything. The sun itself is a second-generation star. It was born from the ashes of older stars, a patch of enriched dust collapsing under gravity, igniting in a quiet flare that would one day become home to us. Around it, leftover dust gathered into planets, and one of those planets became a mirror of the cosmos, alive, reflective, awake. Every 230 million years, our sun completes one orbit around the galactic center. That means Earth has traveled through the Milky Way's spiral only about 20 times since it formed. Each revolution carries us through new regions, dense clusters, quiet gaps, faint clouds of gas. The view changes slowly, but it changes. The constellations we see tonight will drift apart. The sky, one day, will have a new shape. But for now, we move through calm waters. The Orion Arm is stable. Our nearest neighbors, Alpha Centauri, Sirius, Vega, are close enough to light our night, but far enough to leave us in peace. Our home orbits in a rhythm that feels eternal. Yet every rotation through the galaxy reshapes us in ways too slow to see. When you stand beneath the night sky and trace the Milky Way's pale band, you're looking edgewise through our spiral arm, a river of suns winding through space. Each point of light is another home, another world orbiting its own star, another story unfolding quietly, unseen. And if you could travel outward, leaving Earth, then the solar system, then the galactic disk itself, you'd see something breathtaking. Our sun's faint glow embedded in a spiral of light, one soft glimmer among billions. A single heartbeat in the Milky Way's body. That image, that perspective doesn't make us smaller, it makes us belong. It reminds us that life doesn't need to be at the center to be extraordinary. Sometimes, it thrives best on the edge, where there's room to breathe, room to grow, room to look outward and wonder. Our corner of the galaxy is quiet, but it isn't isolated. The same rivers of dust that feed distant nebulae also flow here. The same dark matter halo that holds the stars together wraps around our arm like a protective tide. And above all, the same cosmic laws that shaped the Milky Way's birth govern the rhythm of your own heart. We are part of the spiral, its rotation, its evolution, its slow, eternal motion. Every atom in your body traces a curve that was drawn billions of years ago, when the galaxy was still finding its. When you walk outside at night, you are literally walking through the Milky Way, through its magnetic fields, its drifting particles, its endless tide of starlight. You don't just look at the galaxy, you move within it. You are the galaxy, aware of itself. So when you find yourself lost, when the world feels loud and uncertain, remember that you live in a quiet corner of something vast and patient. That stillness is not an accident, it's a gift. The cosmos gave us space to think, to breathe, to dream of it in return. We are not at the center, we are the calm at the edge of infinity. And maybe that's the perfect place to call home. Somewhere in the suburbs of the Milky Way, Inside a small spiral arm, orbiting an ordinary star, drifts a small blue world. It does not look remarkable from space, just a shimmer of oceans and cloud. And yet, in all the vastness we've explored, there is nowhere quite like it. Our home has an address, though it doesn't fit on an envelope. If you were to trace it from the largest scale to the smallest, it would read like a poem of belonging. Universe Local Group, Milky Way Galaxy, Orion Arm Solar System, Planet Earth. That is your location in space, a string of coordinates woven into the fabric of everything. A cosmic address written in starlight. It's easy to forget how far that address extends. The light from our sun takes 8 minutes to reach us. From the nearest star system, it takes 4 years. From the center of the Milky Way, 26,000 years. And from the edge of the observable universe, 13 billion. Every point in that chain, every widening circle, reminds us how precious this small, bright home really is. If the galaxy were scaled down to the size of a country, our solar system would be a single house on a quiet street, and Earth would be one room within it, a glowing window, warm against the dark. The galaxy itself is in motion. Our sun travels around the center at 828,000 kilometers per hour, dragging its planets behind like a glowing comet's tail. We're moving, always moving, orbiting something vast and unseen, carried through the spiral like a leaf on a gentle current. And yet, from the surface of Earth, it feels as if everything stands still. The constellations rise and set, the stars keep their slow rhythm, and the galaxy hums around us like a cradle rocking in the dark. Maybe that's what makes this address feel sacred, the balance between motion and peace. We are traveling through the Milky Way's arms, and yet we never feel the wind. We are passengers on a vessel so large that even its storms seem still to us. If you could look at our solar system from above, you'd see planets tracing delicate circles in a sea of darkness. Each orbit is a clock, Mercury racing fastest, Neptune slowest, and together they keep time for the galaxy's rotation. Every world, every moon, every comet follows this choreography without faltering. It's a dance of gravity, an ancient rhythm that began before life took its first breath. And here, in the middle of it all, floats Earth, not the largest or the brightest, but perfectly balanced. Just far enough from the sun to avoid fire, just close enough to escape ice. Its tilt gives us seasons. Its spin gives us day and night. Its moon steadies its axis, keeping our tides and our time. Everything about it seems improbably precise, as if the cosmos sculpted a single oasis in the desert of stars. Look at the sky tonight, and you'll see that desert stretching outward. Each point of light marks another sun. Each one, with its own address, its own possibility. Perhaps around one of them, another blue world turns, wondering, as we do, whether it's alone. We've sent messages into that darkness, radio waves, golden records, mathematical greetings, encoded in hope. They travel outward at the speed of light, our small voice joining the galaxy's endless whisper. In a few million years, those signals will reach other spiral arms. And perhaps one day, something will answer. When we map the Milky Way, we place ourselves not at the center but on the edge, and that humility is beautiful. The Earth's location is both fragile and privileged, close enough to see the galaxy's light, far enough to be safe from its storms. We are sheltered by cosmic distance. We are protected by insignificance. From that safety, life found time to think, to look upward and name the stars, to ask where it came from. Every culture that has ever existed has looked at this same sky and tried to locate itself. They drew constellations, told stories, wrote the galaxy into memory. The truth is simpler and deeper. We are not in the Milky Way. We are of it. The atoms in your body were built by its stars. The dust in your lungs once drifted through its arms. The water in your veins once circled other suns. When you whisper into the night, the galaxy hears itself through you. Our cosmic address isn't just where we live. It's a reminder that home isn't a place, but a position within something vast, something ancient that continues to hold us, even as we move farther through the dark. A pause. The voice lowers to a near whisper. We are not lost in space. We are exactly where we belong, A small, quiet planet in a spiral of endless light. Long before the first human looked up, the sky was different. The stars were not the same, the constellations not yet written, the Milky Way still finding its form. Our world was young then, its continents half-formed, its oceans deep and dark, its air thick with promise. The galaxy above it was older, wiser, already turning in silence. If you could stand on that early Earth and gaze upward, you wouldn't recognize the heavens. The stars we know today hadn't yet settled into their orbits. Many had not even been born. Others, bright and massive, burned briefly and were gone, their lives measured in millions of years, not billions. The night was fuller then, more chaotic, more alive. It shimmered with youth. Our sun itself was a new arrival, barely glowing into stability, its planets still warm from birth. The moon hung closer, larger in the sky, pulling tides that raced across newborn seas. Volcanoes glowed red on the horizon. Lightning laced through methane clouds. And above it all, the Milky Way stretched a hazy arch of silver, ancient beyond comprehension, watching the Earth grow into itself. When the sky was young, light traveled through thicker dust, the galaxy's arms brighter and more uneven, its heart wilder, more turbulent, its edges still gathering matter from the void. Even the spiral itself may have looked slightly different, tighter perhaps, its arms glowing with fresh clusters of blue stars. The Milky Way, like all living things, was still learning its shape. Back then, the Orion Arm, our quiet home today, was a place of restless creation. Supernovae erupted often, forging new elements, scattering them like seeds into the interstellar wind. The sun was born from that chaos, its cradle warmed by nearby explosions, its planets formed from the ashes of the dead. Everything that would become us, iron, oxygen, carbon, gold, was stirred into being during those violent, glowing centuries. And, through all that motion, something constant remained: gravity's song. The galaxy turned, the arms curled. The light, once freed, began its slow journey outward, a whisper across epochs, a message we still receive tonight. If you could watch the Milky Way's history sped up 1,000-fold, you'd see it breathe, its arms thickening and thinning, its stars flickering like plankton in a cosmic tide. You'd see galaxies passing nearby, their gravity tugging at its edges, stretching it, reshaping it, and then drifting away again into the dark. And as the spiral evolved, so did our sky. The constellations we know, Orion, Cassiopeia, the Big Dipper, are temporary, arrangements of stars that will dissolve as they move through their orbits. The sky itself is a living document, rewriting, redrawing, remembering and forgetting itself in cycles of millions of years. We live inside one of those moments, a brief sentence in an endless story. The first humans who looked up must have seen it differently, too. Their skies were darker, their eyes sharper. They could see the Milky Way stretch from horizon to horizon, a river of light flowing through eternity. They gave it names: the Celestial Path, the Silver River, the Spine of Night. Even without telescopes or theories, they sensed its meaning, that we belong to something vast and alive. Now, thousands of generations later, our instruments can measure that truth, but our hearts still feel it the same way: as awe, as home. The young sky is gone, its stars changed places, its light faded and red shifted into the long memory of the cosmos. But some of that light still travels, still arrives, still touches our eyes when we look up in the dark. When you see a faint glow from the Milky Way, you're seeing not the present, but the past, the galaxy as it was when mammals were first walking the Earth. Every photon is a time traveler, carrying a piece of what the sky once was. We live surrounded by those relics, the old stars, the old dust, the old light. They are fossils written in brightness instead of stone. They remind us that the universe is not a collection of moments, but one continuous, unfolding memory. And in that memory, nothing truly disappears. It simply moves farther away, stretching into color, slowing into silence. So when you look up tonight, know that you are watching time itself, the light of youth arriving late to your eyes, the voice of the past still singing faintly through the dark. The music swells, slow strings, faint heartbeat pulses beneath. The Milky Way you see is both young and old, ancient and immediate, alive and remembering. It has been your sky forever changing, yet constant, different, yet always home. And when the sky was young, it was already dreaming of this moment of you, standing here, looking back. The Milky Way may look still when you gaze at it, but it is anything but still. Every star, every planet, every dust grain, every atom, all of it moves. The galaxy is not a picture, it is a dance. Our entire home, this luminous spiral we call the Milky Way, is in constant motion, turning like a vast wheel of light through the dark. It rotates once every 230 million years, a single galactic day, long enough for life on Earth to have risen, changed, and dreamed 1,000 times over. When our ancestors first looked up and named the constellations, we were halfway through our current orbit. When the first forests grew on Earth, we were starting a new one. When the dinosaurs ruled the planet, the sun was traveling through an entirely different region of the galaxy. And when our species first lit fires beneath this sky, we had already moved halfway around the spiral once more. Even now, we are moving around the galactic center at nearly 828,000 kilometers per hour, pulled by the gravity of billions of stars, our path bending gently through space like a river through an invisible canyon. We are passengers in a vessel of light. If you could look down from above, you'd see the Milky Way turning slowly in the dark, a disk of stars 100,000 light-years across, its spiral arms curling inward toward a glowing core. You'd see stars orbiting not in neat circles, but in waves and ellipses, each one following the pull of everything else. It's chaos, but a beautiful chaos, the kind that repeats in harmony, the kind that lasts. And it's not only rotation. The Milky Way itself drifts through the universe, carried by the gravity of nearby galaxies, flowing as part of a larger current called the local group. We travel alongside our neighbors, Andromeda, Triangulum, and dozens of smaller satellite galaxies, all bound together in a slow waltz through deep time. From our perspective, the stars seem fixed, but that illusion comes from scale. Even moving at unimaginable speeds, it takes tens of thousands of years for their positions to change enough for us to notice. Space is motion stretched thin. To our short lives, it feels like stillness. But imagine compressing time 1,000,000 years per second and watching the galaxy spin. The arms would swirl like smoke in wind. Clusters would drift, collide, merge, and bloom. The spiral itself would flex and ripple like fabric in water. You'd see it alive, a living ocean of light, always moving, never in the same place twice. The sun's path through this motion isn't flat, it waves gently up and down through the galactic plane, like a cork bobbing in slow cosmic tides. Every 30 million years, it crosses the midline, diving above or below the disk, passing through regions rich in dust and gas, then rising again into clearer space. Some scientists wonder if these oscillations might have subtle effects on Earth, comet showers, climate shifts, the quiet influence of our motion through the Milky Way's unseen fields. We are small, but we are never still. Even the atoms in your body are in motion, spinning, vibrating, orbiting invisible centers. You carry within you the same momentum that moves galaxies. You are part of the flow. Sometimes, when the night feels calm, it's easy to imagine the universe frozen, a sky nailed in place above a sleeping world. But if you could feel the truth, you'd sense it beneath everything. The slow current of stars turning through the dark, the faint vibration of gravity singing through space-time. You would feel the Milky Way moving through you. We are not watching the galaxy's motion from the outside. We are that motion. Every breath, every thought, every flicker of life on this tiny world rides upon a wave of starlight that began long before us. We are movement shaped into awareness, and though the distances are immense, the rhythm is gentle. The galaxy's spin is not a race, it's a slow, perfect drift, a patience beyond human time. There is no rush, no finish line, only orbit, only continuation. So when you look up at the Milky Way tonight, that faint, milky band, stretched across the darkness, remember that it's not a picture in the sky. It's a river of motion flowing around you, and you are floating in its current. The stars are not standing still. The galaxy is not fixed. Everything moves, and in that movement, everything endures. Even now, as you listen, We are crossing another inch of eternity. The Milky Way is not alone. Across the cosmic dark, just beyond the reach of our naked eyes, another spiral turns a mirror of our own. Vast, graceful, and approaching. Its name is Andromeda, the nearest great galaxy to ours, a sister in the night. For billions of years, the two have been moving toward each other, drawn by the quiet gravity they share. At this very moment, as you sit beneath the sky, the distance between them is shrinking, a slow, unstoppable waltz across 2.5 million light-years. Every second, Andromeda moves closer by more than 100 kilometers. And yet, the dance is too slow for our eyes to see. It will take 4 billion years for them to meet, for the two great spirals to touch. But in cosmic time, that is only the next song on the record. The next step in a rhythm older than light itself. If you could watch the dance sped up, you'd see them twirl across the dark, like glowing dancers moving toward embrace. Their arms would stretch and curve, their halos overlapping, their gravity beginning to tug at each other's stars. Long before collision, the night skies of both galaxies would change, growing denser, brighter, more alive. Imagine standing on some far future Earth, or whatever world inherits our place, and looking up. Where the Milky Way once arched in silver, you would see Andromeda swelling in the sky, its spiral arms filling the heavens. At first, a smudge, then a whirl, then a blaze of billions of suns spanning horizon to horizon. The night would never be dark again. And yet, for all that motion, for all the grandeur of collision, most stars will never touch. The space between them is too vast. When galaxies merge, they do not crash, they pass through, their stars weaving through each other like ghosts, guided not by violence but by gravity's choreography. In that cosmic embrace, their shapes will distort. The Milky Way's spiral will stretch into long, thin tails of light, ribbons of stars flung into the dark. Andromeda will twist and ripple, its core pulled apart, its arms merging with ours. Eventually, the two will settle, their orbits aligned, their centers fused into a single glowing heart. Astronomers already have a name for that future being: Milkomeda, or sometimes the Milky Andromeda Galaxy, a new creation, larger, slower, and more luminous than either parent. Our descendants, if they exist, will look up at an entirely different sky, a sky where the great river of stars above has become a single shining ocean. It's strange to think that we are part of that movement, that even now, every atom in your body is participating in a dance that will take billions of years to complete. The same gravity that keeps you grounded is also carrying you toward another galaxy, pulling you across light years with infinite patience. We often imagine collision as destruction, but in the language of the cosmos, it is creation. When galaxies merge, their gas clouds collide, triggering waves of starbirth, new suns igniting where old ones fade. Whole constellations will be born from the meeting of these two giants. Somewhere in that future, new worlds will take shape, orbiting young stars that owe their existence to the quiet meeting that begins tonight, beneath this very sky. Andromeda itself is not so different from us. It has spiral arms, a glowing center, its own planets, its own mysteries. Somewhere inside it, perhaps, there are beings who look upward and wonder if they are alone, beings who see a faint, milky band in their night and give it names in their own language, never knowing it's us they are watching. If they exist, they too are part of this approaching dance, drawn closer with every heartbeat of the universe. And one day, their descendants and ours will share the same sky, the same dawn, the same home. When the two galaxies merge, the black holes, at their centers ours, Sagittarius A*, and theirs will spiral around each other, a slow gravitational duet, lasting millions of years. And when they finally meet, they'll fuse into one, releasing a wave of energy that ripples through space-time itself, a final chord in the song of their union. From the outside, the result will be serene, a single, rounded galaxy, its light diffused, its motion slower, its arms faded into one endless halo. Inside, life will continue, new stars glowing, new worlds orbiting, new eyes looking up and wondering how it all began. The music shifts to a gentle crescendo, two soft melodies weaving together, rising and falling, merging into one tone. Every motion in the universe, every orbit, every wave, every breath is part of this same choreography: approach, connection, transformation. The Milky Way and Andromeda are not colliding, they are becoming one. A pause. The voice lowers, steady and tranquil. So when you look up tonight and see the faint smudge of Andromeda, a tiny blur in the dark above your head, remember that it is already moving toward you, that even now, the future is drifting quietly closer. And when the galaxies finally touch, they will not end. They will become something new. The universe doesn't destroy what it loves. It just changes its shape to keep on dancing. When you reach the edge of the Milky Way, there is no wall, no end, no boundary where light stops and darkness begins. The galaxy simply fades its stars, thinning into silence, its glow dissolving into the black sea that holds everything. From the outside, the Milky Way would look like a whirlpool of light, its spiral arms coiling in slow motion, its center glowing with a quiet fury. Around it drifts a faint halo, a cloud of ancient stars and invisible matter stretching far beyond what our eyes can see. That halo is not empty. It is history. A vault of forgotten suns still orbiting the memory of creation. If you were standing out there, beyond the spiral's rim, you'd see the galaxy as a single luminous organism alive, rotating, breathing. And somewhere near one of its quieter arms, barely visible in the haze, a small star would sparkle our sun, a tiny pulse of light in a vast, spinning sea. It's humbling to imagine ourselves from that distance. All of human history, every birth, every song, every thought, compressed into a dot so faint it might vanish between blinks. And yet, that dot is alive. It feels, it dreams, it wonders about its own insignificance, and in doing so, becomes significant again. The Milky Way, like all galaxies, is not fixed. It drifts through a larger current, a flow of galaxies drawn together into clusters, and those clusters forming filaments, and those filaments weaving the grand web of the universe. Our galaxy belongs to a neighborhood called the Local Group, anchored by two giants, the Milky Way and Andromeda, and followed by smaller companions, the Magellanic Clouds, Triangulum, Draco, and others. Together, they move through space towards something even greater, a gravitational destination known as the Virgo supercluster. And even that, vast as it seems, is only one swirl in a still larger current, a river of galaxies flowing toward an unseen center called the Great Attractor. It's a mysterious region of gravity that bends the motion of entire superclusters, drawing hundreds of thousands of galaxies toward it, its pull invisible yet undeniable. No one knows what lies there, a dense knot of matter, a remnant of the early universe, or perhaps something beyond our understanding entirely. But it calls to us. The Milky Way is moving toward it right now, along with every star, every planet, every atom you know. We are all, together, falling softly toward mystery. That's the beauty of motion on this scale. It never ends. There is no final arrival, no edge where the map stops, only deeper layers of connection, each one wider, older, slower than the last. Beyond the edge of our galaxy, space darkens, not because there is nothing, but because there is too much distance for light to cross, too much time for our eyes to see. What looks like void is simply space where light hasn't arrived yet, a silence not of absence, but of delay. And yet, even there, the faintest glow remains. Cosmic background radiation, the whisper of the Big Bang itself, still hums across every inch of darkness. No matter how far you go, you are never outside the universe's memory. Even the coldest, emptiest reaches still carry warmth from the first dawn. To journey beyond the Milky Way is to witness the unity of motion, to see that the galaxy is not a thing, but a process. It spins, it breathes, it gives and receives, it joins the larger flow without resistance, and in that, it teaches us something. Nothing stands still forever. Even stillness is movement too slow to notice. When you lie under the night sky, you are already traveling not just through time, but through space. The ground beneath you moves with the earth moves with the sun with the galaxy with the universe. You are part of an unbroken motion that began before atoms formed, and that, will continue long after the stars fade. The edges we imagine of galaxies, of knowledge, of meaning are not walls. They are invitations. Every horizon calls you forward, not to end the journey, but to remind you that the journey never truly ends. A long pause. The hum deepens, distant, oceanic, eternal. If you could drift beyond the spiral and look back, you would see it glowing like a memory, a river of light curling through the dark, its arms stretched wide, its center beating like a heart. And in that sight, you would recognize something familiar, because in the end, you and the galaxy are the same, both made of stars and silence, both still moving, both still learning what it means to exist. Beyond the edge, there is no end, only more ways for light to begin again. The Milky Way has no diary, no archives, no pages, no ink, and yet it remembers. It carries the past not in words, but in light. Every star, every cluster, every drifting atom of dust is a record, a fragment of what once was, encoded in heat, color, and motion. You can read the galaxy's memory if you know its language. Hydrogen's faint hum, the spectra of starlight, the soft gravity of things unseen. Light is the Milky Way's handwriting. Each photon carries a timestamp, a record of when it was born, where it traveled, what it touched. When that light reaches us, it brings not just illumination, but information. Every glimmer you see in the night sky is a message from the past. Some of those messages are ancient beyond comprehension. The light from the farthest stars in the galactic halo has been traveling for tens of thousands of years. It left before the first human carved a tool, before the first word was spoken, before the idea of time had meaning. It has crossed the galaxy to find you here, tonight, listening to it. And when you catch that light with your eyes, your telescope, or your imagination, you complete its journey. You become part of the record. The galaxy remembers through you. Every star keeps its own diary, not in ink, but in elements. When astronomers analyze the light of a star, they can tell its age, its birthplace, even the composition of the nebula that formed it. Calcium, iron, carbon, each element a letter in the story of creation. Together, they form the autobiography of the Milky Way. Some stars are older than the spiral itself, ancient orphans drifting in the galactic halo, born before the Milky Way was fully formed. They move slowly through its outer regions, their paths long and quiet, their light faint but enduring. They are memory made visible, the galaxy's elders, still whispering to those who listen. In the dense heart of the Milky Way, memory behaves differently. There, stars live and die in tight embrace, their lives short but brilliant. When they explode, they scatter their memories outward, spreading the heavy elements that will become the next generation of stars, and the next, and the next. Each new light inherits the legacy of the last. Even black holes, the darkest things we know, preserve memory in their own way. Their gravity holds on to everything that comes near, bending time itself into a knot. We once thought they erased information, that nothing which crossed their horizons could ever return. But perhaps not. Perhaps the universe, even there, refuses to forget. Perhaps memory is too sacred to destroy. The Milky Way's greatest archive isn't its center or its stars, it's its motion. Every orbit, every ripple of gas, every gravitational tug is part of the record. Like waves in an ocean, those motions carry echoes of the past collisions with other galaxies. The birth of spiral, arms, the long drift through cosmic time. To the galaxy, memory isn't something stored, it's something lived. Each rotation is remembrance, each burst of light, a recollection, each death, a renewal. When you stand beneath the night sky, you are standing inside the galaxy's memory field. The same light that touched the first stars touches you now. The same particles that drifted through the early universe are the ones you breathe tonight. Every second, you are brushing against the past, not metaphorically, but physically. It's in your lungs, in your bones, in your eyes. Perhaps that's why stargazing feels like nostalgia for something we've never known. Because we have known it, just not as humans. The atoms that make you once swam in the galaxy's earlier forms. They remember the temperature of the first suns, the rhythm of the first orbits. When you look up, you're recognizing a home you've lived in before. Light is time, you can see. It moves endlessly, never aging, never stopping, only fading, stretching, becoming softer with distance. The Milky Way's glow is a kind of afterimage, the ghost of what once was, still reaching across light years to keep the present connected to the past. And when all its stars one day fade, when the galaxy grows quiet and dim, its memory will not vanish. It will drift outward in radiation, in relics, in the faint warmth that never truly cools. It will become part of a new pattern, a new story. Because memory, in the language of the universe, is not something kept. It's something shared. The background sound grows almost imperceptibly brighter, a gentle hum like sunlight behind a curtain. The Milky Way remembers through us, through the eyes that watch it, through the minds that turn its light into meaning. And in that way, it never truly forgets. The galaxy does not write its story in stone. It writes it in you. The Milky Way, like every living thing, will one day grow old. Its light, bright, and patient as it seems, is not eternal. Even stars, those engines of time, have lifespans. They burn, they shine, they rest. We are born into an era of brilliance, a golden age of starlight. Every night, the galaxy glows across the heavens, its arms still teeming with suns, its core still pulsing like a heart. But deep within its structure, the slow work of fading has already begun. Stars are the universe's storytellers, and each story has an ending. Massive stars live fast and die young, flaring into supernovae that seed the galaxy with heavy elements. Smaller ones, like our sun, live long, burning quietly for billions of years before slipping into twilight. When their fuel runs low, they expand into red giants, shed their outer layers, and collapse into white dwarfs, the glowing cinders of creation. In time, even those cinders fade. They cool and dim, turning into black, dwarf stars that no longer shine, their warmth spent, their memories kept in silence. It's not a tragedy. It's a rhythm. Every pulse of light in the sky is part of it. Birth, bloom, rest, repeat. The galaxy does not mourn the fading of its stars. It uses them. Their ashes become the dust that builds new suns, new worlds, new beginnings. But this cycle will not last forever. There will come a day not soon, not for trillions of years, when the Milky Way's fuel runs low. The gas between stars will thin, the nurseries of light will fall quiet, and the spiral arms will begin to dim. The night will change. The brilliant ribbons of stars that once circled the sky will fade into fewer and fewer points. The great river of the Milky Way will thin to a faint stream, then to a handful of sparks, then, at last, to darkness. And yet, even then, there will still be motion. White dwarfs will cool slowly, their cores glowing faintly for eons. Neutron stars will continue to spin, their pulses ticking like cosmic clocks. Black holes will linger, silent and massive, their gravity shaping the last structures of the universe. Eventually, even they will fade, not vanish, but evaporate, releasing their energy as the faintest whisper of radiation. And when that happens, the Milky Way will no longer exist as a spiral of stars. It will be a ghost of heat, a field of faint particles, a memory diffused into everything. But don't mistake that for an ending. The death of light is not the death of meaning. It's transformation. The same atoms that once burned as stars will still move, still hum, still form patterns too subtle for us to imagine. Even in darkness, there will be motion, and in motion, memory. Somewhere in that far future, a faint photon, a leftover echo of our present, will still be traveling. It might have left a star you once looked at, or bounced off an ocean wave here on Earth, or glowed for an hour, instant in a camera lens. That photon will keep going, carrying the record of our era across eternity. The last starlight of the Milky Way will not vanish. It will drift on, joining the quiet chorus of what remains. Perhaps that is the real legacy of the galaxy, not permanence, but continuity. Everything it has ever been, everything it has ever created, will ripple forward forever. Even when light itself grows cold, the story continues in the movement of what it once touched. And maybe, just maybe, in some distant corner of the expanding dark, those remnants will gather again. A new fluctuation, a new condensation, a new beginning. The universe has done it before. It could do it again. When you think of the last starlight, don't imagine loss. Imagine rest. A long exhale after eons of creation. A silence that is not absence, but peace. The galaxy will close its eyes, but the dream will go on. Because everything that was once light will always be light, even when invisible, even when forgotten, even when traveling through the infinite dark. The music fades to the sound of one soft tone, held for a long time, a hum that feels less like sound and more like memory. The Milky Way will not end in darkness. It will end in remembering. The kind of memory that carries warmth long after the fire has gone out. And when the last starlight drifts into silence, the universe will still glow, not with light, but with everything it has ever been. When the last star fades and the final light dissolves into distance, it will not be silence that remains. It will be echo, because nothing in this universe ever truly disappears. Every vibration, every flicker, every breath of heat lingers woven into the very fabric of space-time. Physicists call it background radiation. Poets might call it memory. It is the faint afterglow of everything that ever happened, the soft static of creation that still hums in every corner of the cosmos. It began with the Big Bang, a flash so immense that its echo still warms the void. And though that energy has cooled over billions of years, it has never gone away. It surrounds you right now, passing through your body, through this planet, through every star, the faint warmth of the first dawn. The Milky Way's light will one day join that chorus. When its stars fade, their radiation will stretch into longer and longer waves, softening until it becomes part of the great background hum, a whisper added to the universe's endless song. Even when time has grown cold, even when galaxies have drifted apart beyond sight, their echoes will continue to ripple. Light turn to wavelength, wavelength turn to memory. The cosmos will not forget itself. The echo never fades because the universe itself is the instrument. Every point of space vibrates with the residues of everything that has ever happened. Every inch of darkness is an archive of sound, so slow and stretched that our senses can no longer hear it. But it is there, a vast, inaudible music, still unfolding. When you listen to silence, you are hearing it faintly. The hiss between radio stations, the quiet static when the world falls still, that's not emptiness. That's the leftover breath of creation. One day, far in the future, when the Milky Way and Andromeda have become one, and the new galaxy has burned through its final reserves of gas, its last sparks will fade into that same music. Its starlight will redshift into microwaves, then radio waves, then gravity itself. The spiral will dissolve, but the pattern will not. The universe remembers patterns more deeply than form. Everything leaves a trace, not in permanence, but in influence. Perhaps that's what eternity truly means. Not lasting forever, but leaving something that does. Every atom of you will do the same. When your life ends, when your energy disperses, nothing of you will vanish. Your warmth will drift outward. Your atoms will rejoin the interstellar medium. Your light, faint, unseen, but real, will become part of the next echo. You will hum quietly in the background of tomorrow. And maybe, eons from now, some new consciousness, born of different stars, will study that echo. They'll measure the radiation that fills their sky, and they'll notice a pattern, a faint, complex ripple unlike the rest. And they'll wonder what it was, what kind of universe came before theirs, what stories once unfolded in the dark. And in that moment, they'll be hearing us. Our galaxy's music, our light, our brief and brilliant age, all folded into a single resonance, still singing across forever. When you think of that, of the echoes that never die, you realize how connected everything truly is. Every act, every spark, every kindness ripples outward the same way. No gesture is lost. No moment is wasted. The universe records it all in the only language it knows: frequency, motion, heat. We are the Milky Way's current echo, but we are also its next voice. Through us, the galaxy continues to speak. Through our wonder, It remembers what it means to shine. Even when all the stars are gone, their echoes will still pass through us, the last embers of a fire that refuses to die completely. And long after, when even the concept of after no longer applies, the energy that once was us will still hum, still move, still whisper, "I was here." So if you ever find yourself afraid of endings, remember this. The universe doesn't end. It changes tempo. It stretches its song across longer and longer measures, until what was once a symphony of light becomes a single, eternal tone, soft, steady, beautiful beyond measure. And somewhere in that tone, if you listen carefully, you'll hear the memory of the Milky Way, and of yourself still shining, still echoing, still home,